Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of Horizon in American Saga Chapter 1. This movie is directed by Kevin Costner, who previously directed Dances with Wolves and Open Range. The movie stars Kevin Costner himself, along with Abby Lee, Sam Worthington, and Sienna Miller. Now, the plot of this movie follows about three different storylines, all pertaining to the West in the 1850s, I believe. They follow Kevin Costner, this wanderer who comes into a small town, meets Abby Lee, and they go on an adventure together. It also follows Sienna Miller and her family and the tragedy that befalls them, but also a group of, you could say, mercenaries tracking some Indians. Now, this is the first chapter in a saga, which means we're going to get more movies and more storylines after this, but this movie primarily focuses on those three subplots. Now, before I saw this movie, I had just finished Yellowstone, and I really enjoyed it. It's really good. But I knew this wasn't going to be Yellowstone because even though it had Kevin Costner in it, he wasn't directing a show like Yellowstone. He was directing a story about the West. And I had a feeling that this movie was going to either be something to glorify the West, make it fun, adventurous, like movies of old, or Costner was going to make this a very realistic, nihilistic version of the West, where basically he was going to show audiences that the West was hard, and a lot of us probably couldn't survive in that type of world and environment. Well, having seen the movie, I can honestly say that we got one of those things, and I am definitely looking forward to Chapter 2. Here's why. And I do want to let you guys know that this movie is about 3 hours long, and you can feel it, because even though there are exciting and gripping moments of this movie, there early on, there for about a third of the movie, and then after that, the movie kind of drags. So, just a heads up, the movie's quite long. Now, also, Kevin Costner is not in this movie a lot. He's one of the characters that we follow, but I would say the main character of this movie is probably Sienna Miller's character and the storyline involving her family and her daughter. I would say she's the main character, and then you have other co-stars that come in that may be main characters going forward, but it's too soon to tell. Kevin Costner's probably in the second or third subplot, and to be honest, as charismatic and as fun Kevin Costner is to watch, he doesn't speak a whole lot. He's not the most exciting or the most engaging character in this movie. Now, I will say, he's actually a lot quieter and a lot more to himself than John Dutton is in Yellowstone. But Kevin Costner's character just feels like another character and not really a leading man, unlike his previous work. So, the first 45 minutes of this movie is an attack that has you going, oh man, this is a movie. We're in it. It's already boom. But after that, it doesn't really find its footing in making this movie enjoyable. If you're a fan of the West and how realistic this movie is, then I'm sure some people will like it, but this was definitely Kevin Costner's way of saying, hey, this was the Wild West. This is what happened. People either had to survive, adapt, or die. And this movie makes it real clear that not everyone's nice. A lot of times you can do whatever you want, and as long as certain people don't see it or don't find out, you can get away with stuff. And I'm just not sure how I feel about that. And to be honest, I wasn't going to make this review because the other chapters are not out. I can only really base my grade off of this movie, this first part of what we got. I really can't make a whole assessment, a whole judgment until all 4 chapters are out. Now, Chapter 1, unfortunately, has not made that much money in the box office. Chapter 2 is supposed to come out in August. It may not come to theaters. It may go to streaming. We'll see. But this movie is long, and it's slow. And it's just Kevin Costner's way of saying, this was the West. The West was hard. This bad stuff happened. This bad stuff happened. It's unenjoyable. You don't want to live there, type of stuff. And there have been Western movies like that that are realistic, where a lot of tragedy befalls characters. I mean, look at the movie Hostels. It's really good, but it has an opening that makes you go, wow, the West was not an easy place to live. But this movie has a lot of actors in it. Aside from Kevin Costner, it's got Abby Lee, who does a good job as a prostitute. She speaks a lot more than she did in Neon Demon. It also has Jenna Malone, who is also in that movie. She was also in Hatfield and McCoy's with Kevin Costner, which was neat to see. You've got Danny Houston from Yellowstone. You've got Will Patton. You've got, I'm forgetting his name, but he played the character of Jesus in The Walking Dead. You've got a lot of co-starring actors and actresses that help flesh out the story a bit. You've got Michael Rooker, who plays one of the soldiers along with Sam Worthington and Danny Houston. You've got characters that make some of the stories and some of the moments, nice and enjoyable, but it kind of tends to focus on things that, as an audience, I don't really know if that's what you want to watch. But Kevin Costner has to build these characters. He has to build the storylines. He has to build all of this stuff for the other chapters later on. And it really wasn't until, the first 45 minutes that had your attention, and then the movie drags. And it introduces, a wagon train, and mercenaries going after Indians, and then Kevin Costner's character, and Sienna Miller's character. So it's got about 4 storylines, and then you get almost like this preview of what's to come, in these flash montages of things that are either sped up parts of the storyline that they just want to cut to real quick, or they are things that are going to happen in the next chapters. It's really unclear because they don't say. He doesn't say next time on Horizon or anything like that to give you notice that, hey, this is going to happen. It almost feels like it's a cut montage of things that they couldn't really film to fill the whole movie out with. So they just kind of gave it to you in spurts of, Kevin Costner raising money, or things that happen with this child, or a love story element. So I'm hoping that all happens in Chapter 2, because that's really the only reason why I'm waiting for Chapter 2. It's because all that stuff seemed exciting and engaging and stuff that I want to watch. Chapter 1 is the setup. Again, I can't judge this whole saga until it's complete, so for what we got, Chapter 1, I'm going to give Horizon and American Saga a C. If you like stories about the West, if you like Kevin Costner, if you like the aspect between Native Americans and, soldiers and people that groups that don't really understand each other, then this movie might be for you. But to me, it just was nothing other than Kevin Costner saying, hey, the West was tough. You want to know how tough it is? Okay, I'm going to show you all this brutal, mean, sad stuff, and maybe you'll like it. So, I'm excited to see what happens next. This movie was a movie, but I honestly can't recommend it. So, till next time, guys.